Hello, I'm Essraa Nawar. Welcome to the Information Gone Wild podcast brought to you by the San Jose State University iSchool, and I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Paul Signorelli. I'm another one of the hosts for this program, this podcast, in which we discuss libraries and all things information science.
Today, we're very fortunate to have as our guests Giulio and Rebecca Wolfe from Echo Mobile Library in Greece.
Welcome, Giulio and Rebecca. Really nice to have you here. Taking into account the time difference, meaning we're doing this in the morning, you're doing this in the evening, and we're going to meet sometime over lunch. We really are impressed by the work that you're doing with the Echo Mobile Library and the career path that you've taken and that you're following here in Greece, or there in Greece, and I'm here in California.
Well, thank you both for having us on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a really real delight to be here. We're looking forward to exploring the world of mobile libraries with you.
Yes. Julia, I remember you and I met back in July when I was visiting Athens as a tourist, and I was attending one of the biggest cultural festivals in Athens. I believe it's been around for like 20 plus years, where they bring in people and cultures and all interesting things together. And as a librarian, anytime there is a book around, I kind of run. And here I am in the middle of this wonderful festival, and I see this Echo Mobile Library, and you're there and you're talking to people, and I just run and talk to you, and I just want everybody to know a little bit more about Echo Mobile Library, and what is that like?
Okay, Eco Mobile Library is essentially like what it says, a bookmobile, and it's a bookmobile that we did ourselves. The whole back of the library, so we built it with a group of friends and other people that supported us throughout the years, and we travel around 500 kilometers every week to reach essentially refugee camps situated all around Athens. So we go as far north as Tiva, the old Thebes, and east 100 kilometers south, and every week we touch 6 or 7 different locations where we stay between 1 and 3 hours, and we run our activities. We loan books essentially in up to 15 different languages, and we run activities with kids, with young people, with women. We play music, we play games, we paint and we draw, and we try to create some sort of a bridge between Athens, the city where we both live, and these places where people are forced to live that are isolated to a point where it's a very clear also political decision of separating the refugee population from the rest of the Greek population.
As you're saying this, it's just I'm getting goosebumps. So thank you for sharing. But a follow-up question, which sometimes I'm sure as you're looking at some of these stories and the refugees, but what brings you happiness in the midst of all of this?
I'll keep it to the project, and is to see also how just a very small idea like this of bringing books in people's native language can sometimes really break walls, break barriers, even if sometimes a bit metaphorically. But also, I don't speak most of the language of the people I work with, of the people that reads the book at the library, but still being able to have this moment, to share this moment, just create a little connection. And this is something that really makes me happy.
Rebecca, let's turn to you and get your basic story out there. You're a musician, a linguist, a librarian. With that kind of wonderful background, what was it that initially drew you into Echo Mobile Library?
I'm probably a bit like Giulio. It all kind of happened by accident. As part of my studies, I lived in Damascus, and it sort of changed my life in a way. And so once I went back to the UK to complete my studies, life was kind of never the same. And then once after the Arab Spring, and then the Civil War broke out, and you feel very helpless. And I was living in Scotland at the time, in Edinburgh, and you started seeing on the news everyone coming over the sort of boats, what people in Europe kind of now call the refugee crisis, which was this peak of activity where people were coming across from Turkey to Greece in these small boats around 2015, 2016. And I decided to sort of come out and see if I could try and offer a welcome that a similar sort of welcome that had been offered to me by friends in Syria as a kind of reciprocal thing. And I kind of naively went out thinking, oh, well, like, I can't really do anything. I mean, I speak these languages, but that's about it. And when I arrived onto the informally organized, like, grassroots kind of community camp, sort of sub-camp, which was next to the main camp on Lesbos, they arrived and they're like, have you got any special skills that we should know about? And I was like, well, I kind of speak these languages, 1, 2, 3. And they're like, those are the 3 languages that we need the most and no one else speaks them. And so I from that, it was almost not really ever going back. I spent 1 month, became 3. And then I never wanted to kind of go back to feeling useless from a distance. So I found every single way I could to come back to Greece to try and support myself. And then by chance, I came across the library, and that was game over for me. You know, I mean, I love reading. I love speaking to people about literature and what makes them excited in their lives. And the library was a perfect way of connecting with people.
There's so much to unpack in that. I want to follow 2 parallel themes that you've talked about, because as we do this, anybody watching the recording later, March 2025, about half of our country is thinking that things are just great and they're very happy with the way things turned out with the election. And the other half of the country is thinking that their hair's on fire if they've got hair, and they're trying to figure out what to do. You speak very nicely of the impact of being in the right place at the right time to get involved, but also taking advantage of that and getting past the idea that one individual can't or can make a difference. What in your background can you identify that helped you to make that leap in a way that will inspire our students and our peers to say, this is not the time to give up if you're not happy?
I guess actually probably the time that this really started for me was also in university. I mean, the background that I come from, like family-wise and whatever, or politically, is very different to what I ended up kind of following and becoming more committed to while I was at university. At university, I was exposed to many different and alternative ideas of understanding and seeing the world. And the importance of, I mean, it's people say it all over and over again, but the importance of building communities of people around you that may have different ways of trying to move forward in a positive way. But it's not that you have to take the same step in the same way exactly to conform, but as long as you're all moving in a similar direction, regardless of how that is and how people are able to do that in different ways, then you have a community around you who can support you. And so, like, having this idea of, okay, not really thinking that you could make a difference, and then going out and like pushing myself out to Greece as I did for the first time, and like having all of my expectations completely blown away. You know, I never expected that having these languages would really make so much of a difference. And just keeping that in mind, that you never know what you have inside of you, whether that's tangible skills like languages, whether it's soft skills like the ability to reach out and connect with a person, even if you don't share the same language. Like, there are so many skills that you never really appreciate until you try them, and you also hone them and you practice them.
I love that, Becca. And I want to go to Giulio and ask him a little bit deeper about the stories. I mean, I was watching last night the video, You'll Never Believe What Happens in This Van. I can only imagine I want to be just a fly on the wall. And I want to live in that van and see exactly what kind of books. I mean, I follow you on social media and I see sometimes, the kind of books that are there and the activities, the painting, the kids, you're serving all kinds of individuals, all backgrounds, and it will be hard to tell one story. But maybe there's one or two stories you can share with us about like how this project have affected people's life. Something that would be really interesting for our students and faculty at San Jose and others that would love to hear.
Yes, this is, I think, on a more general level, I think one of the point of our library is to provide respite from living conditions that are particularly bleak, and to provide a tool to fight what is, we've been told, we've learned that is one of the biggest problem of people living in the camp, which is boredom. And I think this is in itself is already like a very, very important thing that for people that start coming to the library and then come every week for months, changing book every week or 2 or 3 books. And this makes a particularly concrete effect on their daily life. If I have to think of a particular story, there is a friend that lives here in Athens, because one of our sessions is also in one of the squares in a platea, one of the squares here in our neighborhood in Athens. And he's from Gaza. And he, for many years now, visited the library probably once every 2-3 months, not very often, and took 6-7 books in Arabic, disappeared, and then reappeared a couple of months later, wanting to change books, asking for new books, what we had. And over the last year, we learned that he wrote a story. He wrote a short story, also in which Becca was a character. Yeah, she features in the story. And he was published on the website of the Cultural Foundation, and also in a book that published a series of short story. And this was a very, very heartwarming and a very, very special thing that he also came to share with us all of a sudden when everything was done and published. And this is a very, very special moment has been.
I have just a very quick follow-up question. I mean, the librarian in me wants to know, what is your check-in and check-out system? Do you guys have library cards for people? Do you hold people accountable? I mean, I'd love to just know. I'm very curious.
We decided we work with people that to do everything, to go in and go out of the refugee camp they live. They have to show a document, they have to prove their identity, they have to fit in categories. We decided to go the opposite way. So we keep as little information as we can to make the library works. That means that we have a simple form on our phone where we ask a first name and a WhatsApp number, and then we fill out other question, other part about the books, what language is it, what if it's regular user or not. But we stay in touch only through WhatsApp. We have WhatsApp groups for each camp we visit, for each session we run. And that also means that sometimes the books don't come back as much as we would like to.
For the librarian in you, our returns rate is hovering on a good day around 70%, maybe.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. It's not that great. And obviously the sad thing is, if you think about it, okay, our collection is mainly Arabic and Farsi, with English and Turkish close seconds, and a little bit of French. But it's always the best books that go. It's people who are like, oh, A book of poetry on Hafez in Farsi that, like we've just had these new books in, like we got a friend to get them from Iran. It was a real faff. And then you're so excited to put them in. And, there's half a chance that you'll never see that book again, or that you might get a couple of loans out of it, but then you will never see that book again. And a lot of the time we were talking about this yesterday, it's often the poetry. For the Arabic and the Farsi, it's often the poetry. People really feel a connection with a lot of time, like super classical poetry, where it's complicated and complex, even to understand it. Like a modern Arabic speaker will not find it easy to read بعرفش like Mutanabbi or something from the 10th, 11th century, and yet people are drawn to it. Yeah, it's like a cultural characteristic that really runs deep. And so, yes, I mean, we don't get a lot of the books back, but also it was a decision because we want, for us, the library is about humanizing people. And so many other sort of conditions that people, that our friends that are coming and visiting the library and visiting us, having to endure are incredibly dehumanizing. Like it's your ID, it's your case number, it's your number of people in your family, it's your age, it's your date of birth. It's all this terrible, it's a numbers game. And so for us, the library had to be something like the opposite, creating a space where it's Abdullah again, or it's Nawaf, or it's whoever, and you greet them, and it's nice to see these people. It's good to see that they're checking in, even if it's once a week, and even if many people don't even want to borrow a book, they just want to sit and chat, or they want to play a game of backgammon, or one of the card games that we have. It's just a way of spending time with other people, and as Giulio said, like respite from the conditions that they have to are forced to live in.
I'm sure Paul will agree. Libraries are spaces and cultural exchange areas, not just for books. So I love that. This is so heartwarming.
The approach you take in saying, okay, 70% return rate, not great, but we're going to go with that because it really serves the people we're serving. It speaks to something I think is essential in our industry, and that's its flexibility. The irony is that we have so many policies and procedures, sometimes we kill ourselves in, all right, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and if you're overdue, then this is going to happen to you. How do you develop that kind of flexibility, and how does it serve the people that you work with?
There's no other way the library wouldn't have survived if we tried to run it neither of us are trained librarians.
Yes.
If you put us in a real library and told us to start cataloging stuff, it would be an absolute disaster.
We have a program for you, by the way, San Jose State. Just saying.
Really? Oh well. let's talk about that later. But no, I mean the library in itself is based upon the principle of flexibility. Like that's how it started. It was started by 9 years ago coming up now. Imagine you're serving people on the move, and so the library has to be on the move. It started with volunteers who found themselves following migrants who then got stuck on the border between Greece and Northern Macedonia when the borders were kind of officially closed after a kind of grace period in March 2016. And as Giulio was saying, this sense of boredom, this sense of having to wait for your papers to be processed, and this waiting time not being filled with anything. And so this is how the library evolved. The volunteers decided, okay, we want to do something where people can continue their study, they can learn a language, they can come together and do things. But we can't form something, a kind of formal or permanent structure, because we don't know what's going to happen. And so that's how the library came about, because they wanted to serve all these different people who one day were in this camp and then who were then moved the next week to something, to a different structure. And without this ability, we wouldn't have survived. And so not only is the nature of physically bringing the library to different people and places and spaces, as we have done over the years, but also the nature of lending a book, trying to make the library work for different people, like also fulfilling requests which aren't necessarily kind of book related. I mean, recently I've lent musical instruments to people inside the camps, or you bring them so that they can come and play them. We've had music lessons. All of it is about finding a way that you can connect with people and offer them tools and things for self-expression and respite and spending the time in a positive way that you yourself would like to see if our positions were exchanged.
And
Giulio, would you like to tackle the same question about flexibility and how you incorporate that into your work to serve people better?
I mean, is the very core of why the library is a mobile library, not to survive and to be adaptable. I think this is the key for me, like is adapting to a constant changing panorama of policies regarding access to the camps, but also of like people moving in different spaces, the library changing also what it carries in base of the group of volunteers we have for a few months is different than in another times, and so you are able to try and adapt to different moments. I can think of like, in 2000, I arrived a bit later than Becca in 2017, and I met the library only in 2019. And even in these years that I've been working with the library, the very idea of the camps changed so much. The camps were something like temporary, an emergency. And then they became instead of a very permanent feature. And at the beginning, the library could go inside the camps to meet the people we were working with. And then with the changing government and COVID and many different changing policies at a national and European level, this was not possible anymore since 2021, 2022. And so it became also the fact that being flexible, being adaptable meant that we could still go in front of the camp or find a space nearby the camp where we could meet safely, and we could also still interact with people. And it's changed so much that I think without flexibility, we definitely wouldn't be here now.
No. It's been tempting sometimes, like at the kind of weaker moments of like, I remember going to one particular camp and then finally closing the gates on us and being like, no, you can't come in anymore. Probably Giulio will remember this. It wasn't my proudest moment, but like it was this mixture
I think
of like,
we were all crying.
Yeah, we were all crying. And like, these are the moments where you actually have to fall back on the fact that like, to be flexible, to be adaptable is what the library is all about. And that actually what our work, it can't really be stopped. It can be like, it's like, I guess like water flowing through, like you can try and dam off, you can try and stop things, you can try and build up walls and whatever. But with the flexibility that we have and the approach that we take to our work, we won't be stopped, to be honest.
Yeah.
I hope all of us working in anything related to libraries can say the same thing. Our work won't be stopped. But let me pivot to, again, logistical questions. Where do you get the books from? What kind of support people give you? I mean, those are all logistical things that I'm always thinking about. I mean, where do you store? Because I'm sure some people, we have wonderful people that are either librarians or paraprofessionals or supporters of libraries that may actually want to think of doing something like this here in the US, especially now as, immigration rules are tighter. Some people are actually in detention camps or areas being, flown back to their countries. So there's a lot going on politically that maybe one of the students would want to do something like this. So tell us a little bit about the logistics.
The library can hold up to 500-600 books. It's very small. and our storage room is not much bigger than that. We get our books from essentially wherever we can. As at the very beginning, it was totally from donations. There is this group, Book Aid International, that serves projects like ours and other similar projects all over the world. And by the time we started to build a catalog of books in each language, then we went a bit more specific on requests from people and on what we want to add to the library. So we, especially for Farsi, Arabic, English, and French, and Turkish, we have started to have a good section for children, section for young adults, fiction for adults, non-fiction, and poetry. And also we're trying also to add every time to the catalog something that we believe it's important. I don't know, it can be, we have The Handmaid's Tale in both Arabic and Farsi. We have books about radical economics and politics in different language. And at the same time, we keep trying to listen to the people that come to the library and answer as much as we can to their requests. And for people who would like to do this, I'd say to just do it. Just start, just get organized, build a network of people around the project. And don't forget also the political reason behind what you're doing and the political context that create the situation, because I think it's key not to get lost also in an approach that then becomes very dehumanizing at the same time. Like, we really like to think that we are working with the people that read our books. They were not serving a particular community, but they were building a relationship constantly with them. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I just came back from Istanbul with a bunch of Turkish books. I mean, that's also, there's a lot of random couriering of books in suitcases on a more practical level.
I'm from Milano, and over the last 6 months, I found out that there is a Arabic online bookshop based in Milan. So every time I go there, now we became also friends. He gives us a big discount, and we bring as much stuff as we can back here.
Yeah, big shout out to
Khaled.
متوسط
متوسط.
دار المتوسط in Milano. شكرا كثير. But I mean, also we're always looking for other places to get the books. I mean, especially as our communities have kind of diversified. Like we were very lucky last year to get a small donation of Somali books, which we've been looking for a very long time. All of our attempts to reach out to Somali communities in the UK had absolutely no effect. So it's always amazing if people reach out to us and be like, okay, I know you guys don't speak Somali, but how about I source you some, 20 books. It makes a massive difference. And the same for other languages, okay, Giulio and I can do a few of these language groups between us, but there's so much that we can't do. And it's often these languages that I always feel bad, people coming in mainly recently for Bangla, and just feeling bad that we don't have anything for them, and not being able to find an immediate solution to that problem, because obviously, I mean, Greece does not have any specialist language bookshops. So, for example, like all of our Arabic, we get from outside, either from the Arab world or from Milano or from a friend in Berlin. Every other language is it has its own quite random and serendipitous network. So anyone who comes and offers us things will probably say yes.
You're getting really to the heart of the very personal nature that flows through the video that you have online, which, by the way, is fabulous, and the work you're talking about working with people. You're aware at this moment in March 2025 of the extreme language being used here in our country, in the United States, where we just label people as a group and we don't look at the faces and the individuals. And that allows us to do some of the things that are happening. You're in a situation where you're seeing people day to day, and it obviously lives with you. What are some of the joys that you get out of working with the people you work with? And what are some of the emotional challenges that you face in working with them?
I mean, I feel incredibly lucky doing what I do. I feel sort of it's like, it's this very strange, I guess this is what you're talking about, kind of the emotional aspect of it, because some of the time I catch myself being so happy, like if I've missed a session or I've missed a week by being away in Turkey, for example, getting books, and I come back and I'm like, I'm really looking forward to seeing so and so. I'm really looking forward to seeing these people. And catching yourself being like, yeah, but I wish I didn't have to see them. And it's the same when you build relationships with people over months, sometimes unfortunately in cases like over years. And when they finally get their papers and they tell you we're leaving next week, it's difficult emotions to process, because you're incredibly happy for them. You're nervous for them because the Europe that they think they're going to oftentimes is not what it should be. And so you're also like nervous for them, concerned for them, and like on a personal note, incredibly sad that you'll not be seeing their faces. And most of the time, like, we will never see them again. Like I was very lucky last year to be able to like meet a few people visiting when I went to Germany last year, and it was so amazing to like revisit people, to like organize and like to meet up for a coffee and to see how they're like settling into their new lives wherever they are. But this is a minority of cases. A lot of the time you might know people over a period of years, and then they leave. And so it's difficult. It is difficult.
Yeah, and I think at the same time you end up sharing even in those 2 hours a week where we spend in every place we visit, some small but very important nice and sad moments, and this is also something that stays with you. Even when Rebecca says you can stay in touch with people, you can get to know a lot of people, speaking the same language or not. I can say like not speaking Arabic or Farsi, you can build a relationship in many other way. Playing chess, playing backgammon, or just listening to music. You find your way to build connections, and then they move on with their lives. And maybe you stay in touch with through WhatsApp, through a message every now and then, through a call. But what Becca was saying, with a lot of people, we don't see them anymore, and this is sometimes it's quite difficult to get a grip on, to like being able to carry on with the next turn of. And this, I think, it works both with volunteers than with the people we work with, because you build relationship with both of them, with all the people you.
I like that. This is a beautiful story, but I'm trying to imagine your lives, right? Like, 'cause this is just part of your life. This is part of what you do. I mean, I imagine you also have, I mean, I know, Becca, you're a musician, I mean, a linguist. I mean, there's all parts of your life that you tried to connect to this project, but also outside of this project. But I feel everything, I mean, there isn't work-life balance anymore. It's work-life integration between, yeah, I don't believe in balance. I believe like it's all integrated. And yeah, especially in this day and age where we're out and about on social media sometimes promoting the stuff that we do for the community to get more traction or let people know. I mean, that's really let people know that this bookmobile is going to be there at this time for this session, doing a music session or an artwork session, whatever it is. But how do you tell us about your day jobs and what do you do in addition to this project?
Well, in theory, this is
Yeah, it's kind
our
of our
day job, but obviously it's not the only thing. But yeah, it's true. It's for me, especially like it's being a long and bumpy road to arrive here, but it kind of all came together. And the library is part also of it's what I do with the library, but it's also part of what I do outside, like of my more wider, let's say, political activities in solidarity with people on the move. And it kind of all interacts with each other. I've always been very interested in this kind of border in a way between volunteer work and activism and how they can meet never easily, but what this can bring, what these two things combined can bring. And since I've moved here, this is kind of where I've been in this liminal space a bit between politics and projects working with people on the move, working in solidarity with them. And in the rest of the time, I do translations. I do translations of different things from Italian to English and English to Italian. And yeah, I write sometimes and spend time with my animals to keep my mind sane. And this is it. Yeah, it's true. There is no balance anymore, but it kind of all comes together and we just have to make it work as good.
How about you, Becca?
Yeah, there is no work-life balance. I realized this as I was. I mean, I realized it a long time ago, but it hit me again when I realized that I'd turned a sort of short weekend away into an extended week in order to go and get more books for the library and get an instrument to a person who'd been living in the camp, who'd left his instrument in Istanbul. And I'd sort of decided that in my mind that was a great idea, that I just told them, oh yeah, sure. I mean, from Sofia, it's only an 8-hour extra bus journey. Instead of going back down to Athens, I'll totally take an extra 8-hour bus drive to Istanbul, go meet your random friend, pick up your instrument. And while I'm at it, I'm going to pick up some more books, take a massive couple of suitcases and the instrument, and then do a 16-hour bus journey back to Athens. But it's for me, actually, it feels much more natural. Like this sense of having this, okay, here is your work and here is your life. I guess has never been particularly good with me. And for me, actually, it's more about almost practicing your, like, I know this sounds maybe cheesy, but like practicing your ideals of what you want to see from your friends, from other people, from the projects, from the things that you're doing in your life, and trying to implement them in a way. And yes, it means that you're not working a 9-to-5 job. It means that often you're constantly thinking about random things will pop up in the middle of a conversation that's completely unrelated to the library, and then I'll think of something else. And yes, it's not easy, but I think it's for me, it's a much more authentic way of living, because actually you realize that everything is interconnected, whether that's your love for books, your interest in migration, culture, history, meeting other people. but it can't be defined, and it can't be limited to a day job in that sense.
Julia, let's go a little bit into some of the other work you do. I was looking at the site that you have, Laboratorio Lapsus, and you describe yourself there as an activist as well as a researcher. Can you talk about the work you do there, a little bit about what that organization does, and tie it back to the work you're doing with Becca?
Oh, this is okay. Seems part of another bit of my life, but it's been Laboratorio Lapsus has been a collective of historians that were studying at the University in Milan. That we were studying when we were studying at the University in Milan, and we founded this little group of students. Now, wow, in 2008. And we kind of started to put together alternative study plans for other students. We would run some seminars in the university on topics that were not touched by the other history courses in our university. And from then we kind of mixed also with the political activity in the university related to the students and the study courses, but also more wider about the city in Milan. And from there it became an actual organization, like an actual non-profit organization. And I still collaborate from time to time, but the Lapsus is based in Milan, and now it works with high schools, with training high school teachers, with creating history-based games and theater shows. Is a very, very creative and genuine project, and the people that are still running it are also some of my oldest friends and amazing people. And it kind of ties because it's been a process since I arrived in the university in Milan, of like growing up and discovering different things. And from Milan I moved to the UK, and from the UK I moved to Athens. But it kind of all flown together, and the library has been just the last permutation of this journey.
Becca, do you want to respond to anything he just said, the tie-in you see between what he's doing and what you guys are doing together?
I mean, I also studied a lot of history at university, so there are moments that I believe we have the same level of nerdiness that comes out in moments of like understanding what we're doing in a historical context. You're just like, yes. Does anyone else understand this?
Usually not.
No,
usually not. Yes.
Usually not. But it's nice to know that you're like you can be on a 2-hour long drive out to the next camp, and it's like you know that you could maybe open up a slightly niche historical topic with someone who'd be open to listen to it. Yeah, unlike I think I once ended up giving like an hour lecture to someone who really didn't want to talk about Ottoman history.
We all have those moments.
Yeah.
Before we do a wrap.
Yeah. Do you really want to know this? And he was like, yes. And I'm like, are you sure? And then I kept on going, and then I realized by the end that actually he was just being polite. So that it's wonderful having someone else whose outlook from a historical and political and actual perspective ties in so well together.
Before we start winding down here, I do want to go back to one really essential thing that asks, what can we learn from how you set up Echo Mobile as our country is moving into a place where people are being put into camps before they're deported?
Get organized.
Yes, I guess what we learn is that it's possible. Like if we made it and the people that actually started it maybe made it, it means that it's possible to do it. And that starting from a very small idea, a very small project, and something you really, really care about is the best way to then carry on.
Yeah.
To get organized, to create networks, and yes, and to push against all the obstacles that will come in your way.
Yeah. And don't ask permission. Like
And
in that
often
way.
it's yes, don't ask permission.
Yeah,
Just
the
do
power,
it.
of just one idea. I love all of it. I mean, we're getting towards the end of our podcast, but we try also to humanize our guests as well. I love that word so much, and try to get to know them a little bit beyond the work and the projects that they do. So we have some fun questions and you both are from a part of the world that has really good food. So what are your favorite food and drink? And the Arab world is celebrating Ramadan now, as you probably know. You're serving a lot of your clientele are probably fasting. I saw some of those posts on your social media. And then what do you do to actually take care of yourself? Do you have like a wellness routine? So it's all yours.
Favorite food, Giulio?
Well, I'm definitely partial to a pizza. But also, like, we have our own routine even during our session. One day a week, we found out, like, on the way to a camp, a very nondescript tracker stop, and we started to visit it. And now we go every week, and we eat chips, Greek salad, and tzatziki. They do some of the best chips that we've ever eaten.
But is that fries in
Yes,
the US?
I think in the US.
In the US, that's fries.
Yes.
Simple food.
Yes, simple food, but very tasty, really nice people. And this is part of like what we do to look after ourselves. I've got my cats. One is trying to participate, but it's on the other side of the window. And yeah.
Also, like, okay, we have the truckers stop, but also very occasionally, if we're super lucky, people like our friends in the camps have also made us food. So I think last year it happened a few times. Once because it was someone's birthday, and then another time just because they felt like it. There's a place near the camp where the women were able to pick vine leaves. And so a few times last year, and I'm waiting for the season this year, they'd give us a call and be like, come on an empty stomach. And we'd arrive and we would be treated to you can call it yalinje or what else. But basically stuffed grape leaves, and they'd stuff it with just very flavorful rice, and they cook it for ages, serve it with some yogurt. You're right on. So this kind of comfort food shared with friends is a great way of enjoying life and remembering why we're doing what we're doing.
I love it.
Is there anything we haven't asked you that you think is important to cover for the audience that we're trying to reach with the message of Echo Mobile Library and the way that the two of you approach it?
I don't know, like, yes, if anybody wants to get in touch with us through social media, through our website, please support us. We really rely on donations and on everybody's support. And yes, and do it yourself. Like, this is always, if you think about starting something, just try and do it.
And Giulia, go ahead and tell us again the website, how people can find you.
Oh yes, the website is ecolibrary.org, and we are on Instagram and Facebook with Ecolibrary.
You could also do us a favor and tell us how to make that better, because social media, unfortunately,
not our strength.
No, not our forte at all. So yes, we're very bad.
If anybody would like to join our team as a social media manager, we would love that.
Yeah. And
Hang with
actually,
us a couple minutes after we finish the recording. I'll give you a few ideas of where you might go with that. But for our audience, they need help. Help them.
yes,
Yes.
we're always very open to new ideas and new suggestions. It's part of what we do of being flexible, and we're willing to try things. I mean, all jokes aside, like the social media is one of these things that I think if we had more time, or we had other people in the team, yes, we could develop it. But the thing is that the fact right now is we focus so much on other things that unfortunately the communicating what we do with the outside world often gets pushed aside.
I'm soaking this whole thing in. I am excited that we brought this conversation to life. As I mentioned earlier, when I met Giulio back in July, I was really excited, and I'm glad that we got to know a little bit more about the project. And honestly, I can't wait for something like this to happen here in the United States, whether it's for people that are detained or whether in local communities. I know we have a lot of mobile libraries and some community libraries as well, but this project is just so dear to my heart. So I want to thank both Becca and Giulio for being with us today. Really stimulating conversation, and I hope it really will have a positive impact on everyone who hears it, and hope it gives everyone plenty of insight into the complex task of leading an urban library system.
Been a pleasure listening to both of you. I hope that what you've said really resonates with our audience and inspires them to do the kind of things that you're doing, and hope that you keep doing what you're doing. It's wonderful work.
Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah.
Join us next time, those of you watching us, for the Information Gone Wild podcast, where we discuss all things information science. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is episode 11 already. So we've got plenty of conversations out there to inspire you and to put you in touch with people that you want to be in touch with. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.